He's the man.
It's awesome, funny, random, doesn't make any sense, but it's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the studios in the wrestling capital of the South, it's another terrific episode of The BENGEBUSTER Show. Please welcome your host, Tony Binge.
All right, everyone, welcome to The BENGEBUSTER Show, coming to you the day after my birthday, March the 24th, and we're back with our normal scheduled podcast. As I spoke earlier, the month of March was going to be talking about my career, and we definitely can't talk about my career without the man who's got the book on it. I am talking about none other than Jeff Patton. Jeff, welcome to the BENGEBUSTER Show.
Glad to be back. Hate I missed last week, but I'm glad I'm back this week.
Yeah, man, we missed you last week too. I know we had some scheduling issues, and you know that happens sometimes. And so I just put our normal podcast that we had planned talking about my career. I told Chris, I said, man, we can't talk about that without Jeff, because he's got all the information. If I said anything, I'd be pulling off memories and I wouldn't be telling everybody the exact truth. But to kind of recap this week, the way that, this week has been, a lot of crazy stuff happening in the wrestling world, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. But I have to start this off, Jeff, because yesterday was my birthday, and we were originally going to record last night, and I know you had some power outages there where you live with the storms, but then I remembered, hey, it's my birthday, I'm going to be out partying anyway, so the family took me out to a nice dinner, had some cake, and it was a good night. A lot of people think that you got to stay up late and party for your birthday. Well, it's kind of hard to do that on a Wednesday night, knowing you have to be at work the very next day. So, no partying for me. I just went out and had me a nice filet mignon and some lobster tail and some cake and ice cream. And then it was back here to the BENGEBUSTER Estates, and it was bed. That was pretty much the extent of my birthday. I know my wife joked about it. She's like, you can tell you're over 40 now because you were sleeping before the chickens went to bed. So it's been a rough week, man. Well, it's been a rough month. I've had a lot going on in my personal life, and wrestling bookings and 7-year-old, and you name it, it's been going on. So, but here we are tonight, Jeff, and we're back at it, talking my career. And this week we're going to be talking. We're still in the incubator stages of my career. Although I started in 1993, it really started kicking off, and I was working more for you, and of course met my good friend Jimmy Valiant over these the next couple of years that we're going to be talking tonight, and that is 94 and 95, Jeff. And bring us back around, Jeff. Let's talk about 94 and how that got started.
Okay. The first big event for you was January the 9th at the AmVet Center. It was Burke County Wrestling Television Show number 16, when you defeated Japan Thunder Tiger to win your first championship, the BCW Junior Heavyweight Championship.
I remember that. That was, and I was very shocked to actually be winning that belt. I know Japan Thunder Tiger and I had, quite a bit of matches leading up to this moment. I know he came to me one day a few weeks before this event, and he said, "Kid, I think you're about ready," and that's all he said. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I get to the show that day, and he tells me, he goes, "Hey, I'm putting you over today." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, I'm putting the belt on you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was so excited, and the finish of that match was very cool. How we did the I hit the referee, ref goes down. Japan hits me with the same move that he's beat me with every week. The Northern Light suplex, hit me with that, but there's no referee to count this time. He's down. And so as Japan Thunder Tiger goes over to check on the ref, as you said in the commentary on the TV show, you said, "Oh, he's paying." What's going on there? And then Mr. Ralph Harkey, a great announcer there with you, says, "Well, in Lincoln County, where I'm from, that's called playing possum, Jeff." and of course, I lay down, act like I'm still out, and when Japan Thunder Tiger comes to pick me up, I knock his hands off of me. I hit him with the gimmick in the glove. Lights out, 1, 2, 3, and I win my first championship.
Yep, and unfortunately, when you win it, you lose it. On February 20th at the MVET Center TV show number 22, you lost the BCW Junior title to Venom. Yeah.
Now, before we get into that match, Jeff, I want to tell some of the fans some of the backstory on that. I won the belt from Japan Thunder Tiger, and he actually let me bring the belt home with me because he actually owned that belt. He had you make him that belt, and he let me bring it home to show my family. And Jeff, at the time I was working in a grocery store, and man, I brought that belt into the grocery store. I was showing it to the customers. I was showing it to the people I work with, and they're all looking at me like, "Is this guy serious here?" But to me, man, it was a great accomplishment because I felt like, my childhood dream had came true. Not only did I get to live in my dream of being a wrestler, but now here I am a champion. And then Daryl, or Japan Thunder Tiger, gives me a call and says, "Hey, bring the belt back. I'm going to, when you come back to the show, bring the belt." I brought the belt, and I think that week when I brought the belt back to him, I don't think we worked each other for the belt. I believe he just actually, I think I took the belt to his house and gave it back to him, and he said, I'll be at the show next week. And I said, "Okay, cool." And he never came back. So, and then that's when you brought out the old BCW Junior Championship, and then I dropped that belt, like you said, to Venom there at the MVETS Club.
And then we're going to fast forward a couple months to April the 9th at the Direct Soul Community Center. Burke County Wrestling will change its name over to New World Wrestling, and we held a one-night tournament to crown the NWW World Heavyweight Champion. You were in that tournament, and you lost in the first round to Magnificent Marshall.
Yeah, I remember, Jeff, this show very, very, very well. Watched it several times as a kid. But at this time, I'm starting to kind of come into my gimmick and come into my character and learn more. And I thought that, I had some good matches with Japan Thunder Tiger. But, Jeff, I feel like that match I had there with Marshall was probably one of my better matches, early on in my career.
Yeah, I definitely would agree on that one. Yeah.
I mean, everything kind of went very smooth. It was just a classic, very quick, fast-paced match. And then, of course, that tournament, Jeff, it drew a really good crowd. Definitely the biggest crowd at that point in my career that I had ever wrestled in front of. And definitely the highlight of the show was not only, I believe it was Gentleman James won the vacant title, but the one match in there that really helped me was watching that tag match between the Heartbreakers, Scotty McKeever and Scotty Hotbody, take on Mad Dog David Lynch and the Flaming Youth. And man, they were doing so many high spots in that match, Jeff. I was just like, man, when I learn how to do this, I'm going to be really good. And so I'd always watch their matches and ask them questions. And I was listening to a podcast the other day with Ric Flair, and he even said, you never stop learning. So all these guys that are in the wrestling business now that think they know everything, man, this is a 16-time world heavyweight champion saying you never stop learning. So I was always trying to, back then I'd watch everybody's match and kind of, see how they did that and how they done this and try to use it. And really that's kind of how wrestlers all evolve. That, everybody takes a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, a little bit. It's kind of like making a stew, Jeff. You take a little carrots, a little onions, a little bin, and you put it all together. And that's kind of the way wrestling should be. And that's pretty much how I've based my wrestling career my whole life. I pick certain guys that I like, and I take a little bit from him, a little bit from him. And early on in my career, my favorite wrestler was Bobby Eaton. So a lot of the stuff I'd done, I patterned after him. And then as the years went by, I started borrowing from other people and kind of worked myself into, to my repertoire that I use even to this day. Although now sometimes, Jeff, I go back and watch some of those old matches and go, oh my God, I can't believe I used to do that, because I forgot I haven't done it in so long,
Right. All right. We will, fast forward a few months. We're going back to the Drexel Community Center. This is on June the 25th of 1994. It's the Stars and Stripes Bash, the first one that we did that year. You are involved in a street fight against Sweet Daddy Brown.
Yes.
And you won the street fight.
Won the street fight. I remember, we got there and he was like, what all you have with you? And I showed him the gimmicks I had and the gimmicks he had. And we went out there and, man, we, for a couple of little guys, I thought we tore the house down. We beat each other through, all over the building. And of course, like you said, I came away with the win, and very fun time. During this time, me and Sweet Daddy Brown started this little feud and the Stars and Stripes Bash, and it evolved and it took off, and it was definitely the start of my turn, as we'll find later on as we talk about the Stars and Stripes Bash, which was I guess, Jeff, the next show after this was Hickory.
We had a show before that, but I mean, it was just TV taping at AMVETS. Nothing really big happened there, but we'll go to Hickory, North Carolina, to the Neil Clark Gym on July the 23rd. It was the third Stars and Stripes Bash of that summer, and it was a lightning strikes match between Sweet Daddy Brown and the Professor, was teaming up against Terrific Tony, yourself, and the Ghost Rider. And lightning strikes very quickly for the fans. It is one man from each team is tied together with a bull rope, and one man from each team is tied together with a Russian chain. Pretty much it's anything goes. Has to be a pinfall in the ring. That's the rules to a lightning strikes match.
And this was actually my first time being involved in one of these matches, and incidentally, the first time I was going to get color until the Professor knocked my gimmick out of my hand, and I couldn't find it. So I escaped getting color that night. But it was great, and I remember during this time, the Ghost Rider was tied to Sweet Daddy Brown, and I was tied to the Professor. And at one point in that match, he yanked me really hard, and the wristband on the chain broke, Jeff. And I remember the whole match, I held the chain in my hand, making the people think I was still tied to it when I really wasn't. And it was very hard for me not to let go of that chain. But we made it work. And I know early on in the year when you were on the podcast, we kind of discussed this a little bit. But I want to go back and time here and kind of paint a picture for the people. I'm still young. I'm still learning the business. Jeff and I aren't really, really, really good friends yet. We're friends, but we don't know each other as well then as we do now. And I remember the finish of this match was, after they, I'm trying to remember, Jeff, refresh my memory. Did we pin them or did they pin us? I'm trying to remember.
No, they pinned us.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because you remember, it's the same. We had there was a lightning strikes match in Burke County Wrestling, like in '93, and pretty much it was the same finish.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So they end up beating us, and then and when they beat us, oh, I remember now what happened. So I knocked down the professor, I believe, and we grabbed Sweet Daddy Brown, and you're holding him, and I go to the top rope or the second rope with the cowbell, and I remember in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure out how to time this so when I jump off, he moves, and I hit the Ghost Rider. I don't hit him too hard, and I remember coming off that ring, and boom, I hit you, and I knew it was stiff, and I said to myself, this big guy's getting ready to kick my ass. I just know it. I just know it, And I remember laying there in the ring for a minute, and I've never told you the story. I'm going to tell you now. It's so funny. But I remember laying there petrified thinking, oh, dear God, I know he's pissed. And because you said, I got a damn headache now. I remember you saying that. And I said, oh, no, he's going to beat the crap out of me. This is it. I'm never going to wrestle again. This is it for me, And but you didn't. You took good. You took good care of me, even though I stiffed you with the bell, and I apologize. But I was greenhorn. I didn't know no better. But I remember laying there in the ring with you, and you got the hood on. Of course, nobody can see you, but I could hear you. And you said, "I got a damn headache now." And I remember you saying that, and I lay there and going, "Oh shit, this is it. He's gonna beat the crap out of me." I'm like, all right. I said, are you ready to do this? And you said, sure am. I was like, oh no, he's really mad. And then you got up, and then, you were easy with me. And I was like, and then we get back to the dressing room, and you take the hood off, and I can see your face now. And I'm like, brother, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you with that so hard with the cowbell. And you're like, oh, it's okay. It's just, it gave me a little headache is all, So, and then from there, Jeff, you turned me babyface, and now you and I feuded for the rest of the bash.
Yeah, and very quickly, it's a wonder I didn't asphyxiate wearing that mask, and with it 150 degrees in that place, man, it's like you rent these places and they don't turn the air conditioner on for you in the middle of summer. I mean, really?
Right. Uh-huh.
I think they just want to sell drinks to the fans.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that was definitely the case, I believe there.
Yeah, we did feud, and then we went to the Thomasville National Guard Armory in Thomasville, North Carolina on August the 6th. This was the final out of the 5 Stars and Stripes bashes. Bull rope match between Terrific Tony and the Ghost Rider, and you won.
Mask versus career, if I remember right.
Yes,
correct?
It was.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Yep. And this night I didn't lose my gimmick, and I had good color. And I remember at the time, the female that I was with, her parents, more or less her mother, got so mad because I was bleeding that she walked out of the building and didn't get to see the finish. But this match was so special to me because not only was it I'm getting to work a match with you, and you really shining me up on during this and really pushing me and giving me a nice singles push. But this is the first time since I've started wrestling. Now I've been wrestling now a little over a year, and it's like everything was perfect. Like I'm wrestling in my hometown, in front of my family, my friends, some of my high school friends, and Jeff. I remember at this show, I knew at this point that my wrestling career was about to take off because I had my current girlfriend was there at the show, and my ex-girlfriend was at the show. So I had both of them, and I remember the boys in the back were going, Tony, you got your girlfriend and your ex-girlfriend are here at the same time? You're the man. I was like, yeah. And And so, but the other one, the ex, she just came because her new boyfriend wanted to come and see who I was and what I looked like. And but incidentally, that was just that's a whole nother story from a whole nother podcast. But great turnout. We had a pretty good crowd there that day. But I thought all the matches were just tremendous.
Yes, they were. And, of course, the main event on that card was a battle royal. Actually, it was kind of like a Royal Rumble type battle royal. We had drew numbers, and every 2 minutes another wrestler would enter the battle royal. And the winner of the battle royal would be the first ever NWW television champion. And, of course, we remember the finish of that one, correct?
Yes.
Remember that one?
Yes.
Okay.
And this one was cool because, not to let too many cats out of the bag, but when we usually get to a show in the dressing room, you'll have a piece of paper or a whiteboard and on there it will tell you the list of eliminations. And we get there, and of course, Jeff, you're the promoter for this one, and everybody there knew I was winning the battle royal except for me. Nobody told me that I was going over, and only thing Jeff said was, "When you see me throw Donnie out, just drop kick me in the back." And I'm like, okay. And it was timed so perfect. It's like you come in and you grab Donnie from behind, chunk him over the top rope. Now, and you raise your hand, and by this point, a lot of people had forgotten that I was in the ring, because I think that you had threw me out like through the middle rope or something. But, and then I snuck in, and you throw Donnie out, and then right as you go to celebrate, I drop kick you in the back. You go over the top rope, and the building exploded. And
yes.
First time I ever cried, man. I was in the ring because I look around and I realized, wait a minute, I'm the only one here. And at first I thought, did I mess up? Did I miss something? And then when I saw the rest of the boys coming in to congratulate me, I knew at that point. But if you go back and watch the tape, I fought back the tears, but I did get a little teary eyed. But the reason I did was because it was just like, okay, my dream, my childhood dream has came true. Here I am in my hometown in front of my parents, my family, my friends. I just won, a major title, right there, in my hometown. And, but it was special because so many people that were special to me were there to witness it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like, when you won the junior title. This was, to me, more to you, was a lot more special because in your hometown, like you said, and all your friends and family were there to see.
Yep. And the fact that I was a baby face, so I had the people, loving it. And not only that, but the way that I won it, as far as not knowing that I was going to win it. And at that, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I've made it now. Like for that year and a half, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it in wrestling, because I would sometimes I'm going to keep doing this, and then other times I get frustrated, going, man, I'm so little, I'm never going to fit in with these guys. I might as well just quit. And then my cousin Mike told me, he said, you can't do that because this is your dream. You can't give up on your dream. No, you can't. You just can't. And he kept pushing me, and of course, you making me TV champion that day, to me it solidified that that I was in the group with you guys.
Yep. And hate to do it, but we'll fast forward a couple months later, and you always, when you win a title, eventually you have to lose it.
Yep.
October the 1st at the Drexel Community Center. It is Fall Blast 94. You lost the TV championship to Gorgeous Jeff, myself.
Yes. We renewed our feud, and you end up beating me for the belt. And help me remember the finish of that. How was it that you got the belt from me? Didn't somebody?
Your cousin Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, your cousin Mark
Came in and
turned.
yes.
Yeah, turned on you. Yeah, and we said, oh, we threw a little. Okay, he's your brother. We said
Right.
he's your brother, and
Yes.
so yeah, he had started wrestling with us, and I think he had wrestled previously in that night, and then later on, he's your blood and your family, and of course, just sometimes money is more important than family. We see that too often in life, anyway. That he was paid pretty well to knock your block off with a forward object, and then I made the cover.
Right.
So that's how you lost the title.
And I remember when he did that, the people went nuts. Like, they really bought into that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I think at that point you also made Mark a member of the Palace of Pain.
I don't know. I probably did. I think I did. But then, he made some shows after that. Yeah, I see here he wrestled you at a later date. So.
Yeah. Because I think after he turned on me that night, you kind of put us in a little feud together for like the next few months or whatnot.
Yep. All right. We're done with 94. We're going to go to 1995, which was a very short year for us because I decided to take some time away from wrestling about mid-year. Got a couple here to talk about. January the 14th, we're at the Hildebrand Gym for a wrestling event called Matt Mayhem 95. And in the very first match, we had a World Tag Team title match between the Cash Money Brothers, which was Gentleman James and Funky, as they lost the belts to Terrific Tony and Sweet Daddy Brown. So that's kind of cool. The second feud, your first feud was with Japan Thunder Tiger, but your second feud you had in Burke County Wrestling was with, or New World Wrestling was with Sweet Daddy Brown.
Yep.
And now you're teaming with him and you win the World Tag Team titles.
Yep. I remember that. We won the belts, and it was, again, it was, it felt great. I said, well, I've won the junior title and TV title, and now here I am, a tag team champion. And that is really, Jeff, when I started realizing that I was a good tag team wrestler. I was better at tag teams than doing singles, and I had definitely enjoyed tag team way better than being single because you could do more. You could involve the referee, the other guy. It just tag team wrestling to me is just an art form that not everybody is good at. But I think I was pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely. In the main event, it is a 2 out of 3 falls for the World Heavyweight title. Dangerous Donnie, who is the champion, would defend against myself, Gorgeous Jeff. During the match, the ref goes down. The professor, who has been a babyface and was the U.S. heavyweight champion at the time, comes in and goes to nail Donnie. He's going to turn on Donnie, but that backfired. And then I think you came in next. If I may mix them up, you may have been the first one in. You turn on Donnie as well, so you're turning heel, and we are starting a group known as Simply Perfection, all three of us.
Right. Yes, and I remember that.
Somehow I can't remember who. It may have been you came in first, and I think he give you an atomic drop, and you went flying over the top rope. And I think then the professor comes in, and the professor is the one that knocks Donnie out and puts me on top of him, and I get the pin and win the World Heavyweight title.
Yes, I was going to say the way that happened is I ran to the ring. I remember because the crowd had just saw me and Sweet Daddy Brown win the tag titles early in the night. I run in and they're cheering because they're like, yeah, he's coming out to help Donnie. And when I get in the ring, I'm telling Donnie, what happened? Donnie's like, what, you get the referee? I said, yeah, you're right. And then when he turns his back, I go in my pants and pull out the brass knucks and let the fans see it. And they start booing me. And then I spin Donnie around. I go to swing and he ducks and he catches me in the atomic drop. Atomic drops me and I fall to the floor. But I dropped the brass knuckles on the way down. And then at that time, the professor came in, which we played up as Donnie's, high school friend and whatnot. And then Donnie's like, okay, cool. He's like, don't worry, Donnie, I got you back. And then when Donnie turned his back, he picked up the knucks and knocked Donnie out. And then, like you said, put you down, put you on top to win the title. And like you said,
they were the tag team champions at one time as well together.
Right.
So that made it even more, of a jaw dropping moment.
Yeah. So we had a lot that night because like it's unheard of for somebody to be a tag team champion, and now they just turned, not necessarily on their partner, but turned heel. So now we got a dilemma coming up. We have two people that are tag team champions that are on two sides of the locker rooms. You got Sweet Daddy Brown, who is big time babyface. He comes out and gives the kids candy and the kids love him. And now you got Terrific Tony, who people cannot stand. I remember, Jeff, that night, I thought I was going to get cut or stabbed after I turned heel and after we beat Donnie, because you, me, and Professor went in and put the boots to him. And then, of course, the other baby faces came out and chased us away. And then Sweet Daddy Brown's like, what are you doing, And I remember early in the night when we won the titles, this whole row of Hispanic people were really behind me. And then when I turned, they were like yelling at me. And I told the one dude, I said, sit down, Speedy Gonzalez. Man, he came at me. And I remember the professor goes, watch out, he might cut you. I was like, and I thought, I was like, wait a minute, he might be serious. Let me turn around. But I remember getting a lot of heat from him. They was cussing me out in Spanish, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. But, and then that, Jeff, is when I said, man, it's starting, the ride of my wrestling career is really starting to take off. And I really embraced that time being a heel. And, Gentleman James at that point in time gave me a pointer, and he told me, he said, Tony, he goes, you got a great heel gimmick, but what you need, because you're so small, is you need a gimmick every time you come out there and win a match. Every time you got some kind of gimmick, and I took that from him, and I said, okay. So after that, I started using the brass knuckles, the powder, everything I could think of, and to give me that edge and get me that heat, and it worked, and I still do it to this day.
Yep. So you were talking about the dilemma. So you have the World Tag Team Champions. One's a heel now, and one's a baby face. So how do you solve that problem? Well, you do what any promoter would do. So we go to February the 4th. We go back to the Thomasville National Guard Armory, and this is the television show, NWW TV show number 43. We allow both members of the tag team champions to take out one of the belts with them, and they're able to choose a partner. And, of course, naturally, you're going to choose the professor to be your partner, and you guys now are known as Simply Perfection. And you wrestle Sweet Daddy Brown and his mystery partner, which, of course, who would you think would be the perfect partner for him to try to get back at you?
My brother.
Your brother.
Yep.
Who had turned back, who had turned babyface. So now he's a babyface now, so that was it. So it was Simply Perfection defeating Maniac Mark and Sweet Daddy Brown on February 4th at the Thomasville National Guard Armory. So you are tag team champions for the second time.
Yeah, and Jeff, I remember a couple of things stands out with me at this show. Again, we're back in my hometown, and I remember this time the crowd was double what it was when we were there the summer prior. But also, this was the first night, Jeff, that I actually went out and found a seamstress, and had her make me a robe like Ric Flair's. Not quite as nice as Ric Flair's, but similar. And once I got that robe, Jeff, it was like a whole new layer of me came out, and I started being more interactive with the fans, and I got more self-confidence, and I think it all kind of, it all kind of aligned together, because the robe gave me confidence. But at that time, I was already getting better at being a heel and working in general. And also at this same time, I had started also going to Boogie's wrestling camp on Sundays. So it was like everything was just intertwining together, and I was getting better, and I was embracing being a heel. And I had set a goal in myself. I was going to say, I might be the smallest guy in the company, but I'm going to be the most hated. And I strive for that every day of my life that I came to the ring. But I remember when Professor and I won those tag titles from Mark and Sweet Daddy Brown. I remember, man, it was kind of a split crowd, because I had some high school buddies there, and even though I was a heel, they were still cheering me. And of course, I was still a little green at this point, so I wasn't embracing their cheers. I was just like, "Don't you cheer for me, you bunch of losers," And but it was great, and it was a great show, and it really solidified who we were at the time.
Right. And of course, with that comes the loss of the tag team title.
Right.
You guys came for a long time, and
we did.
You started a feud with a team called Smooth as Silk, which was Sweet Daddy Brown, and Venom, which Venom had came back and teamed with. I think they were cousins. I think.
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
They were actual cousins, and so but something happened. Sweet Daddy Brown left. And then we teamed Venom up with a new wrestler that he came in named Backdraft. And you guys lost the tag team titles to Venom and Backdraft on June the 17th at the Marion Recreation Center. And it was a dark match on a show that was held there. So it's not on the video anywhere, you losing the tag team titles to Venom and Backdraft.
But you know something, Jeff? And here is when my stories get good. Okay, so as I was saying earlier on, I was starting to come into my character. I was starting to believe who I was, and I remember this building very, very great, Jeff, because at the time, and I can't believe I'm telling this story, but it's going to be a great story. So at the time, I was with this one chick, and she didn't come to the show, which was good. It was great. It was a good show for her not to come to, because when me and the Professor came out for this match, there was two other girls on the front row that were very good looking, and they were with these other two guys, and I remember as we came out, I'm looking around and I see these chicks, and they're really working us, and I told them, I said, what are y'all doing with those two losers? I said, when we get done with these guys, I said, meet us in the dressing room. I said, and I'll show you why they call me Terrific Tony. And Jeff, we do the match. We lost. We walked back to the dressing room, and a few minutes later, your brother Tony comes up to me and goes, "Hey Tony, there's a girl at the locker room out there wanting to talk to you." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It ain't your girlfriend." I said, "Well, no, she's not here." And he goes, "Well, there's two chicks out there wanting to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh." So I walk over there, and I'm like, open the door, and she goes, "All right, what are you going to show me?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "What are you going to show me?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You told me to come meet you at the dressing room, and you're going to show me why they call you Terrific Tony. So what you going to show me?" And Professor walks over with me, because now, there's two chicks there, and I guess at the time he was married. So he's like, that's all you, Tony. And he left. And so I tell the girls, I'm like, well, where you guys from? And they tell me. And the chick says, "I tell you what, give me an hour and meet me down here at Hardy's." And I'm like, okay. So an hour later, Jeff, I meet these chicks at Hardee's, and I don't make it home till the next day. And I remember being out with these chicks all night, and they're like teaching me all this stuff about the country life, cow tipping. Jeff, I'd never even heard of cow tipping before. And here I am, it's like this. I know you fans hear my voice now. Before I get started, let me just tell everybody this. At the time, this is 1995. I'm 21 years old. I am not married. I am kind of really not committed to anybody. So the stories I'm about to tell is when I was younger. So get ready. So these two chicks what they did. They took their boyfriends back to their house and said, "We don't feel good. We're going home." They ditched their boyfriends to come meet me at Hardee's, and they drive me around Morganton, Marion, and Hickory for the next several hours, taking turns in the back seat with me while the other one was driving. I was living like a rock star for about 3 hours, and then come to find out one of the chicks is a preacher's kid. So go figure that one. Incidentally, so Jeff, at like 3 a.m, I finally tell the girls I can't do this anymore. I gotta go to bed. So they're like, okay, are we going to get together again the next time that you're in town? I'm like, yeah. And I always think about those stories. Ric Flair and all the guys would say, you know, they have a chick in a different town. So I had these two chicks that were taking turns with me. And then my uncle lived there in Morganton, Glen Alpine. So I show up at his house at like 3:30 in the morning, knocking on the door. And Jeff, I've got hickeys from one side of my neck to the other, and God knows they were everywhere else. And he thought I had gotten beat up. And I said, "What?" He goes, "What happened to your neck?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What are you talking about?" And he goes, go look in the mirror. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've got to go home tomorrow. How am I going to get rid of these things?" And so so then the next day, this is Sunday, I drive back home and I get to my uncle calls because this time there's no cell phones. So my uncle calls my parents and tells my parents that I had been at his house the whole time, hanging out with him. I was too tired to drive home after the show because it was 2:00 in the morning by the time we got the ring tore down. And so I drive home that Sunday, and the girlfriend at home had been blowing up my parents' phone, wanting to know where I was. My parents didn't know where I was. So now everybody's worried about me. And so I get home and I'm covered in hickeys, right? And my mom goes, "Good Lord, did those wrestling ropes do that to your neck?" I said, "Yeah, they did." So now I'm thinking, okay, I can't see this chick at least for a few days. So I kayfabe her for like 4 days. So from like Sunday to Thursday, I don't see her. I keep making excuses. I'm hurt. I'm tired, whatever. So Thursday, I finally see her. By this time, the hickeys have started to turn brown, and I grabbed them and started rubbing them together so that they kind of blend together. And she gets to my house, and she's like, "What did happen to you?" I'm like, "Man, that damn dangerous Donnie, some bitch threw me all over the ropes and had me all on the ropes and gave me rope burns." And she's like, "Oh, man." And then her dad was like, "Well, I don't guess that wrestling's fake as everybody thinks it is, then, is it?" And I got away with it. But I never saw those chicks again. But it was a great story, and that was my first experience with the rats. I was like, whoa. And I remember calling the professor, and I told him what happened, and I was like, "Dude, you shouldn't have left," because I was with these chicks all night long, and they drove me all over town, and they taught me about cow tipping and egging and all this other stuff that they done. And he's like, "Yeah, that's a bunch of redneck girls," but I could tell he was mad that I got the action and he didn't. And I was like, this wrestling thing is going to be a good thing for me, you know? But, yeah, so, oh man, that was a great story. So thank you for that booking, Jeff.
Yeah, I've never heard that story before. That's cool. I didn't.
Yes. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's great. Well,
Oh,
that
man.
that comes to the conclusion of 95.
I guess a good way to end it too. Hopefully nobody's
Yeah.
listened to this story, but I had to tell it because it was just too funny. And it was crazy because it's like, I was just doing my gimmick, and I'd said that a million times, and nobody took me up on it. But these girls called my bluff, Jeff, and I had to fulfill. I couldn't, crash my gimmick right there, so I had to put up or shut up. But yeah, that was funny. Next time you see Donnie, you have to ask him, because I was telling him about it, and at like the next week, and I said, "Remember those girls that was out there on the front row?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, they almost got me in trouble." So, but there's tons more stories. Not quite that juicy, but because that was, like I said, early in my career. But man, I got some. As the next couple weeks go on, and we get further into this, I got other stories of falling asleep and driving home, and rings breaking, and we got tons of things that's part of pro wrestling that I think a lot of people are missing now, because it's like now, Jeff, I go to these shows and it's like everybody's so cliquey. You got these other guys that are like playing video games on their phone, and like nobody's like I mean, some of them do, but for the most part, like a lot of them don't. They don't have the camaraderie like we had back then, where we wasn't just guys that was wrestling, like we were legit brothers, we were legit family, we looked after each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's something that's kind of missing, I feel like, during this time.
Yeah.
But as we like I said, as we get further in to our podcast later in the month, we'll have more stories to tell about. But Jeff, before we end the podcast, I've got a commercial for our sponsor this week, and our sponsor, of course, is the NAWA. They have got a huge card planned for Saturday, April the 30th, and another big wrestling town, Jeff, Lenore, North Carolina. They're having a big show for the it's for the Caldwell County Crime Stoppers. And it's going to be taking place April 30th at the Gamewell Middle School in Lenore. Jeff, have you ever been to that school before?
No, I've passed by it several times.
Yeah, is it a pretty good sized school?
Yes, and it's right on 18.
Oh,
I mean, you pass right by it if you're going on that Highway 18. So
okay.
It's right there.
Yep. So
It's
it's going to be right there. Like I said, Gamewell Middle School, Lenore, North Carolina, 3210 Gamewell School Road. Tickets they have VIP tickets for $12, general admission for $10, kids are $5, and then of course children 5 and under are free with paying adult. But Jeff, the cool thing about this show is they are bringing in some legends. They're bringing in the world famous NWA Tag Team Champions, the Rock and Roll Express. They're going to be there. The Perfect 10 Baby Doll, the Barbarian and Demolition Axe, plus Mr. Number One George South, and of course the legend of them all, Terrific Tony. No, I'm just joking, but I am going to be there. It's going to be a big show. But before we end the podcast, I've got a little commercial to play for that right now. And of course, on the podcast, if you look down under the description, there is a link to where you can click on and purchase your advance tickets and save time at the door. But anyway, any further ado, we'll be right back after this. The NAWA presents the benefit for the Caldwell County Crime Stoppers, Saturday, April 30th at Gamewell Middle School in Lenore, North Carolina. On this tremendous card, you will see in action the Rock and Roll Express versus Myrick Moore and Mike Mon. The Barbarian and Golden Gladiator number 2 take on B&B and Johnny Ryder. Mr. Number 1 George South takes on AJ Frost. Plus see in action the Burke County Boys, the Saturday Night Superstar Tony Benj, Max Carnage, Ted, Axel Jaggers, and many more. That's Saturday, April 30th at Gamewell Middle School, Lenore, North Carolina. 3210 Gamewell School Road, Lenore, North Carolina. Also see a meet and greet. Have your picture taken with the Perfect 10 Baby Doll or Demolition Axe. That's Saturday, April 30th, Gamewell Middle School. Tickets, VIP, $12. General admission only $10. Kids, $5. And all children 5 and under are free with pay an adult. That's Saturday, April 30th at Gamewell Middle School. NAWA presents the benefit for the Caldwell County Crime Stoppers. Saturday, April 30th, Gamewell Middle School, Lenore, North Carolina. Be there. I'm telling you, Jeff, that is going to be a stacked card. And incidentally, the Rock and Roll Express are on their farewell tour. So if you are a big Rock and Roll Express fan, like I know I am, and they're one of the reasons why I become a wrestler anyway, if you want to get your picture with them, this might be your only chance, fan. So make sure you make plans now to come out. Not only meet the Rock and Roll Express, but the Barbarian, Demolition Axe, Baby Doll, George South, and all the stars of the NAWA. But it's also a great benefit for the Caldwell County Crime Stoppers. So it's going to be a very exciting night of pro wrestling and great family fun, Jeff.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Can't wait. Well, Jeff, next week on the podcast, we're going to be talking, 96 and up, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we did anything in 96. I took some time off, and we started back up in 1997, and then 1998 was a huge year for BCW, which then we were sanctioned by the United States Wrestling Council, I believe it was. United States Wrestling Alliance, I'm sorry.
Right, yes.
US, Yep.
So a lot of great stuff went on during that time, in and out of the ring, and I'll have some stories about that too. But I'm telling you, I'm excited, to be talking about this and kind of going back down memory lane. And of course, I haven't mentioned this yet, but Chris will hopefully be back with us next week. He's actually on an assignment tonight. Don't know her name, but I'm sure he will tell me later. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, Chris is on an assignment with his job, and he's doing that tonight. So, but he'll be back next week, and we'll all three be back and talking all kind of stuff. And then I'm going to have another major announcement concerning another organization who's also our sponsor. I've got two wrestling companies sponsoring the podcast right now. The Patriotic Wrestling Federation, who Jeff just last weekend had a tremendous turnout as they brought in the Hardy Boys for their Carolina reunion. Hardy Boys, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and they were there, and man, it was a great night of wrestling action. And next week, I will be covering that show, giving everybody the breakdown of the matches and how everything went. But all in all, Jeff, right now it's a great time to be a wrestling fan or be in wrestling, because there's so many opportunities out there to be a part or visit or watch. I know, and of course we're also getting into, for some of you fans at home that like WrestleMania season, and I think the big story there, Jeff, is Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming out of retirement. It's going to work a match, so I'm kind of excited about that, Jeff, because as we all know, Steve Austin was like one of the biggest stars to break out in the 90s as we've been talking on our podcast?
Well, hell yeah.
Yes. You know, Jeff, I'll tell you this now, we're going to close the podcast, but I found out the other day that Lowe's Foods here in my town of Mooresville actually sells the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, he has his own beer line.
Right.
I think it's called the Broken Skull. Steve, I'm giving you a plug on my show, but no, I'm just joking. But they actually sell that beer there at Lowe's, and I am not a beer drinker by any means. But Jeff, I had to be honest, I'm a big Steve Austin fan, and I've been tempted just to try it, see what it tastes like.
Go for it.
If I do, I'll let you know next week.
All right.
All right. Well, fans, for Jeff, I am Tony. We will see you next week here on the Binge Buster Show.
Thank you for listening to the Binge Buster Show. Make sure you like us on Facebook and download us on your favorite podcast platform.